What's up guys, welcome back, and in this video I'd like to add some interactivity to the App Store rebuild that we did in the last video. So if you haven't seen the last video, we rebuilt the Mojave App Store using Tailwind, Electron, and Vue. So here it is here, and here is the original App Store. So pretty close, but there is no interactivity yet here. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing I want to do is work on these links here. So if you look at the real App Store, if you go to them, they go to a different page. So if you go into our code here, we sort of already have this functionality as part of the scaffolded out Vue CLI 3 app. So right here, where we have these router links, let's just take this and let's go into sidebar and let's just paste it at the top of the sidebar. So I'm just going to paste it right here and see what we get. Okay, let's open up Electron. And we get these two routes on the top and they go to their specific pages. So that's a start. So back to our code. As you can see, it's using router link to link to those pages. We can either do it this way using router link, or we can use router.push to do it programmatically. So I'm going to favor this way in this case. So let's go ahead and replace these links with router links. So let's just try to get, so right now we have two routes. We have home and about. So let's just see if we can get home and about working on discover and create. So I'm just going to change this first one here. This is discover. So instead of a div, I'm going to use router link. So I'm going to change this to router link. And let's just do 2 equals, what was it? Slash is the route to home. And let's see if that works. And it does. So if I click this, it goes home. So I added that underline there. We can just remove that, adding another class here. So I'll put it right here. No underline. And that should get rid of that. And it does, cool. And we can just do the same for all of these. So let's change create to about. Same thing. So this one here, let's just change this to router link 2 equals slash about. And then let's just add no underline. Oops. Just add no underline to here. And that should work. Create should go to about. Awesome. So let's go to the about page and just have like a default style here that matches this style. So into views about, we'll just change this a little bit. So let's make it black. And I believe we have to push it to the right by this amount to account for the sidebar. And see how that looks. Okay. So I wanted to take the entire width. So I believe if I do flex 1, that should fix it. Cool. Text white. And let's add some padding to the top. And let's add some padding to the left and right. And it looks pretty good. And let's just change it to the actual page. And we can actually change this to create. So let's rename this create.vue. Let's change our router to, that's not going to work anymore. So we can just do create. Let's change this as well. And back into our sidebar, we got to change this as well. Create. And I think that's everything. Yep, that looks good. And I'm going to do the same for the rest of these pages, just so everything goes to a specific page. Okay, so I've added a whole bunch of pages here, and all of these sidebar menu items now have their own page: create, work, play, develop, categories, updates, and the profile. So all I did was update the sidebar, like you saw, added a router link, and then added an appropriate view for each of them, and added the appropriate route in the routes file. Okay, so the next thing I want to work on is this active link here. I want it to stay active when you click on it, depending on the page you're on. So if you go into DevTools, you can see that Vue Router actually adds this class for you. I'm not sure if I can, okay, let's just make that bigger for you guys. So if I go to create, let me just go to that specific one. So right now create is active, and it adds this class right here, router link exec active, for the one that is currently selected. So, and now create works, but then you'll see it's gone now after I click off of it. So all we have to do is style that class. So we can just go into our main CSS and add a class for that. So I'm going to put it right here. Make sure it's a class. And let's just apply BG gray darker, which is the utility I want for this. And back to sidebar, we can remove the first one on discover, because I just hard coded it in. So this one right here. And that should style the active class when we click on the links. So yeah, it works, cool. Discover, create, work, play, develop. Awesome. Okay, what is next? So if you go back into the normal App Store, so yeah, if you look at these and you click on them, you can go to different pages, but you'll notice that there's only two main types of pages you can go to. There's these ones, which are sort of like blog posts, or I'm going to call them stories. So you just click on it, it has the same layout. There is an image on the left, a title, and a description with more content here. There's nice transitions as well, but we'll look at transitions later. And these two are the same. They just have different content. So yeah, they're all just stories or blog posts. And the other type is just a product page. So if you click on a product, it goes to a dedicated product page, which has more information about the product. So let's go ahead and add these two types into our app. So let's just start with the absolute basic, where we click on this and then a new page comes up. Back to our code. Let's just make a new view here. So it'd probably be a good idea to make a folder here, but I'm just going to stick it in here since it's just a demo. So let's call it story. Actually, no, I'm going to duplicate one of these. I'm just going to duplicate this. It's called story.view. And then let's work on that. So I'm just going to hard code a title here. Story title here. And let's go back to discover view. And let's add a click handler. And let's go to that. So discover. So we want to add a click handler on this. So create personal projects. So this whole div right here. We can use router link here as well, but I think in these cases it's better to do a click handler. So let's do add click. And you can do it inline, but I'm going to make a method here because we're going to be doing some more stuff later. So it's called story. And let's make a methods section all the way down here. So methods. It's called story. Okay. And we just have to do this. Router, push, and story. And yes, I have to add this to the routes file. So let me do that. Just grab one of these, duplicate, story, and this one as well. Okay. Cool, let's see if that works. Awesome. Let's also add a back button. So our story. Say back button here. And let's just put some padding here. I mean some margin on the bottom. Say 12 or something. And let's make a button here. And let's make it white. Make it blue. Let's give it some padding. And let's give it some rounded corners. And let's just say back. And let's put a click handler on it. And I'm going to do it in line here because all I'm going to do is router.go -1 to go back. So let's see if this works. There it is, back. Awesome. So there. Okay. Now, if this were a real app, you would pass in, say, an ID from here, which is the ID of this story. And then from here, you would make another AJAX request to pull in that information. Obviously, we have no backend here, so I'm just going to make it somewhat dynamic where we just pass in some props like the title, and then the title will show here. So let's go ahead and do that. So like I said, I'm going to accept some props. So I have to make a prop section here, and it's going to accept one prop, just the title. And then we can render out the title here. And then let's pass in props from the discover component. And let's accept the title here. And to use props within a route, or when you're going between routes, you can pass in an object here. So let's do that. But we can't use the route path. We have to use the route name. So name is story as well. And here's where we pass the params. And in our case, it's just the title. And we also have to go to our router and say that this route accepts props. So we just have to do props true here. And let's go back to discover, and now let's just pass in the title from up here. So it's just this. Pass that in here. Cool, and let's see if everything works. So let me just refresh. If I click this, it should pass in a prop, and it does. Cool. And let's quickly do it for these two as well. So get focused fast. And apps that look great in dark mode, get focused. So this one would be this div. So I'm just going to copy this and put it here. Yep, I think it's here. And it would be get focused fast. Let me just replace this. And then the next one would be this one. Oops. Just grab this. And just grab this. Grab this. And that should work for all three now. Let me just refresh. Get focused fast, app to create in dark mode, and create personal projects. Awesome. And I'm going to do the same thing for the products. I'm going to make a new view called product.view, but it's going to do exactly the same thing as story. I just want separation between stories and products, so it's not confusing. It's going to be exactly the same thing. Okay, so I've added exactly the same thing for products. We have this new product component, which is exactly the same as the story component. And I've used that on all the appropriate places in here. So click on this, it goes there. And same with this grid over here. Okay, now let's go through transitions. I am by no means an expert in transitions, but let's just go through what I managed to accomplish. So if you go into the App Store, you'll see that there are some nice transitions for going to these pages. So you see that transition going up, and for the products, there's a slide in transition. So let's see what we can accomplish. So I am going to make use of Animate CSS for transitions, so I don't have to write my CSS for transitions, and it's very easy to use. So I'm going to go ahead and install this. I'm just going to do this, npm install it. Okay, that's done. And I'm just going to import it in my app.vue. And you can use a CDN if you like, but I'm going to do it the JavaScript way. So just import animate.css / animate.css. So that's just the path to this file, and that's in our node modules folder. So if we go into here, where is it? Animate CSS, and there it is there. Okay, so now we can wrap our router view in a transition component. Transition. And we can make use of any of the transitions in Animate CSS. So first we have to go to name, which we don't really need because we're using Animate CSS here. So I'm just going to call it router animation. And then we need an enter active class. And this is where we specify the Animate CSS classes. So we have to say animated and then give it the transition we want. So let's just say slide in up, and I'm going to set it to faster. Okay, so let's see if the page transitions work. So let me just refresh. And I'm going to click on these, and it does work. Cool. Go back to discover. This one works too. Cool. Awesome. But if we look at the App Store, you'll see that there's no transitions on these menu items. They only happen on either here on the story component, like we called it, or on this product component. So for the story one, it's slide in up. And then for the products, it's slide in left. So how do we make it so that the transitions only happen on certain components? So the answer to that is just to move this into the component where we want the transition to happen. So let me just comment this out. And like we said, we want the story to slide in up. So let's just put it around the story. So right here, let's do that. Same with this, let's close it. Let's indent that. Okay, so this should only happen on the story now. So, okay, so that one, no more transition. The products don't have a transition, cool, but the story does. Awesome. Okay, cool. And we can do the same thing for products. So product.vue, just wrap this in another transition, and that one's going to be I think slide in right, I believe. So let's see if that works. There you go. Cool. Now I wasn't able to get the opposite transition working. So if you see in the App Store, up, slide in up to transition it in, and then slide down to transition it out. There is a leave active class, but I couldn't get it working specifically with my CSS and the way elements show and hide as transitions happen. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is. If someone out there can make it work, I would definitely appreciate a PR to see how it's done. Okay, what can we work on next? So if you look at the App Store, they have this carousel here, and it happens for other components too. But I'm just going to do it for this one here. So there's different items here. A standard carousel, which you see around the internet. So let's go ahead and make our own, or at least make use of a library that has a carousel. So the one I'm going to use is called Vue Carousel. Sorry, not Vue Carousel. I mean Vue Flickity, which is just a wrapper around Flickity, which I like to use if I'm just using vanilla JavaScript. So let's install this and let's make use of it. So I'll just npm install it. Okay, and let's import it. Okay, I'm gonna copy that and back to our app. Let's just do it in, obviously, Discover, because that's where our stuff is. And I'm just gonna put it in here. Okay. And let's see how to use this. Let's go to the docs. Okay, it just goes to the Flickity website, which is fine. Actually, let me copy the options first. So this is the options for the Flickity component. So I'm going to copy this and just put it into some data. So I was going to do some data here. Return, and space that in. And I do want the previous next buttons. So say true there. I don't want dots, wraparound. I don't want wraparound. So say false. And you can use any options from Flickity. It's pretty cool. Okay, let's see what else we have to do. Yeah, so now let's go into the Flickity docs and see their examples. And then we can just copy and paste one. So I'm just going to look at this one here. I think it goes to CodePen. Yeah, let's go on CodePen and just steal this example. Actually, no, let me go back here. Let's leave that CodePen open, but let's grab this over here. Using this Flickity component. And let's paste that into our code at the top. So right above where we want it. So this is just a test for now. Let's see if it works. Okay, let's see what we get. I forgot a comma. Methods. Okay. I think I forgot to, I forgot to do this. Set the components. So just put this right here. Okay. Okay, so it somewhat works. We just have to work on the CSS. So now we can go into the CodePen demo and we'll just grab this CSS and then we'll modify it for our needs. Just grab this. Let's go into our style. Oh, we don't have a style. Let's make a style. And let's make it scoped. It's okay. We won't make it scoped. And let's just see where this gets us. Just indent this. Just refresh. Okay. There you go. There is a carousel working. Okay, so I want this to be the full width. So I think if I remove this width, or make it 100% actually, and I don't want this counter increment. That's just the contents. Let me just remove it actually. Move this one as well. See if that still works. And it does work. But now the content is coming from the div up here. So we can just put whatever we want in here. So say we have two divs. Hello. There. This should still work. And it does. Cool. Let's just set the initial index. I think there's an option for that. Down here. In the Flickity options. Yep. Set to 0. that should set it to the first slide. So let's refresh this. Okay, cool. Okay, so that's basically what we need. So I think we can just stick, so this is Flickety, and we just want to stick this in. So we'll leave that there, and let's paste this in here. Let's add the carousel cell class, and indent, and then that should work, hopefully. And it does. Okay, so it somewhat works. Yeah, I don't even think we need these styles. Yeah, I don't even think we need any of this. Let's see. Let me just delete it. Let's see if we add a width full to this. Will this work? Yeah, let's see. Width full. I already have max width full, but I want to set the actual width. Let's refresh that. And yeah, that looks good. Let's see what we get if we actually paste these in. 2, 3, let's say 4. And that is exactly what we want. So there you go. We have a nice looking carousel here. And obviously we can just replace this with another image, another title, another title here, and say Andre is the best. And that should work. And obviously you can change the background as well. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. We can get rid of this now. The one outside of Flickety, this one. So yeah, in the final code on GitHub, I'll add another slide here with another image. Okay, so one more thing I want to do is if you look at the actual App Store, if we scroll down, we'll see this title bar appear. And it only appears if you scroll down just a bit. So if it's not at the top, we'll have this title bar. There's also actually a hover, which I just noticed, but we won't do the hover. We'll just do this scroll. So let's quickly do that. Then we'll call it a day. Back to our code. So let's just get a title bar working here. So above this, let's just style it accordingly, and then we'll incrementally work on it. So let's just say text white, BG gray darkest, and there is a border bottom, and it's gray. And let's give it some padding. And this one's called Discover because we're on the Discover page, and let's just see how that looks. Okay. So it has to be full width, but we have this px10 container, which is the whole page. So I'm going to move this for now. And then for, obviously it's going to move the padding. And then for all these other sections, we can add the px10 back, which I will do later, and I won't make you watch me do that. All right, let's also center it. So text center should work. Sorry, not there. In here. Text center. Okay. And now let's make it fixed and see what happens. Okay, I think it's still there, but we have to give it a Z index. So I'm going to say Z10, I think. It's a Tailwind utility class. Okay, so it's right there. But it is no longer full width. So let's give it full width. Okay. But now it's not really centered. It's pushed over to the right a bit. I think that's because of this. So let's give it a padding right of 56. So we have this margin left of 56. I think we have to push it to the right. And I think I have to use padding. Let's just try margin and see what happens. I don't think that's going to work. No, it doesn't. I think, yeah, I have to use padding. And we have to specify that in our Tailwind config. So is this width? Yeah, this is widths. Sorry, this is widths, but we want margin as well. Sorry, padding. Where's the margins? This is the margins. There's one for 56 as well, but we want padding. Where's padding? Here. Okay, so I'm going to put 56 here as well. And that should work. And there you go. Now it's centered. And it's also fixed. So it's always there. Cool. But like I said, as you see in the App Store, we only want it to show up once we scroll down a bit. So let's go ahead and work on that. So let's go back into our Discover view. And yeah, you would probably extract this to a component eventually, but I'm just going to leave it in here. And let's just give it a property that shows its visibility. So I'm going to do title bar visible, and we're going to set that to false initially. And let's go back up here, and let's say vf title bar visible. Okay, so obviously that's not going to show. Cool. So now we need to specify a scroll event listener and listen to when it's been scrolled. So let's go back here and let's make a created lifecycle hook. You can put it in mounted as well, but I'm going to put it in created. And I'm going to do window that add event listener scroll, and I'm going to make a method called toggle title bar, and then I'm going to set it this option to passive to true. I honestly don't know what that does, but everywhere it says you should use this for scroll handlers for performance reasons. So do that, and then let's make a method for toggle title bar. Let's put it right here. And let's just console log window.scroll y. And this should give us the y coordinates of what we're scrolling. So if I open that, go to console, if you scroll, there you go. So we just want it. So if it's up there, it's 0, as you see down here. So yeah, if it's just greater than 0, then we want that to show, the title bar to show. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to do a conditional. So let's do window.scroll y is greater than whatever number you want. Let's just say 0. Then we just set the property title bar visible to true, and then if it's not, then it's false. And let's just see if that works. Let me close this. Fresh, and there it is. Cool. Awesome. So it does work. We can shorten this. If you like one-liners, we'll just use a ternary. So this dot title bar visible window dot scroll y greater than 0, true, false. And if you want even more performance, you can throttle this if you want, or use debounce or throttle, whatever works for you. Throttle or debounce for better performance. So something like with Lodash or something, but I'm not going to do that. And let's see if this still works. It does. Cool. Let's refresh. Okay, so it does. So all we have to do is make a transition. So let's go ahead and do that. Back to our code. Back to the title bar. So yeah, all I have to do is add a transition. So I'm just going to do this. Actually, let me just grab it from here, from product. So I'm going to copy this, paste that in, just call it animation. Let's indent it. Let's close it. Indent. Okay, so we want just fade in. So I'm going to do fade in faster. And we also want a leave active class, and that's going to be animated fade out faster. And that should do it. There you go. There's that transition and it fades out. Awesome. So yeah, like I said, I'll put the padding back on these elements. Or you can make another container outside of the main container and just put a px10 on that. So I've gone ahead and added the padding back where it's supposed to be. So I just added it back on the different components here. So it looks pretty good now. And I've also added another image for this second slide, just so it looks cool. And yeah, that's it. So there you have it, guys. We've managed to add some interaction to our Mac App Store rebuild. Not perfect, but definitely some good progress. I hope you liked it, and I hope you learned something new. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Okay, thanks. Bye.